Christian Cotta for another episode of the Lead Mode Show, number 4. And today we're going to talk about how to make a dime online. So if this is your first time here, your second time, your third, or you're coming back for the fourth, because we've only had 4, welcome. Thank you. Do me a favor, share this out because we are about to get started. Boom. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Christian Cotta with the Lead Solution, and you are tuned in to the Lead Mode Show, episode 4. I'm joined today, as always, with my buddy, my partner, my compadre, Mr. Dallin Greenberg, and our associate, Mr. Corey Smith. And today, we're coming to you, and we're going to share with you some stories of a combined 10 years worth of online marketing experience. The ups, the downs, the trials, the tribulations, good and the bad, the ugly, something borrowed, something new, something old, something blue, whatever the saying is. We're going to talk to you guys today about how to make a dime online because the digital dollar and earning the almighty digital dollar is changing. Would you guys agree?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So what we want to do today is we want to help you guys cut the learning curve. We want to share with you how it used to be that a lot of people are still trying to make work and how it is now, because really the future is now. And we want to help you guys kind of see the evolution of what the online marketing world, the landscape has how it's changed, and the tools that people are trying to use, the pros and the cons, because there's a lot of stuff. Technology changes so fast. Just when you think you've got it all figured out, there's something new. So Dallin, Corey, one of you guys, why don't you help me take this away and let's start sharing. Let's share some of the experiences we've had and start with what probably most people are familiar with, which is websites. Who wants to start?
I'm going to kick this off because I'm pretty passionate about this. So we have websites. The websites have been constantly evolving over the last 10 years, especially really, really strongly with different platforms, different coding, different styles, different templates, all sorts of different things. And one of the things that Christian and I get asked the most is what we use. People can't figure out the platforms we use. They can't figure out how we can integrate so many different things. And that's the biggest thing we wanted to talk about today was the main tools that we use, and one specifically, and that one is called ClickFunnels. And the reason we want to talk about ClickFunnels is it's a software that it's all web-based, and they've done a great job at basically bringing in all these different components of the things that people have been missing out with the mostly for the small business, the lack of being able to integrate marketing strategies and techniques and really be able to get your content out there the right way and have it basically formatted the right way in order to get people to take actions on your site. So one of the biggest things that Christian and I have basically come to find out is that the current website as we know it is basically like a big expensive business card. It's kind of like a place that you can send someone, here I am. It's just an authority that you can have online there. But really the problem is people try to figure out, well, why isn't anyone buying my stuff? Or how do I get my conversions up? And how do I do this and that? The answer is in ClickFunnels. And so going back to you, Christian, because you've kind of had a lot of experience with different web platforms. And, excuse me, and Corey actually used to work at GoDaddy. Corey's got some coding experience and all sorts of different things. Me, I don't. I come up with the ideas and I want to get those ideas out there. So I've experimented with hiring different people to do these things that Christian and Corey both have a lot of experience doing. So going back to you, Christian.
Yeah.
I think the first, sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, so, I mean, you gave a little introduction on basically how our business is built. And we're going to talk about this more. But when we take you through this evolution, we start with websites because 99%, and I say this every week, 99.9% of people that want to get a business online say, I want to build a website. Okay, I want to build a website. And Corey and I were just talking about this yesterday, how when we first started building websites, I mean, it's, most people are still using WordPress, and there's nothing wrong with WordPress. So let me start by making this bold statement here that if you're using these tools that we're talking about, we're not saying that they're bad. We're just telling you there's a better way. And so with WordPress, I'm not a techie guy. I'm not super technical. I get that question all the time. Well, yeah, of course, because you're techie. You know how to do this. I don't know coding. I don't know any of this. Corey has some coding experience, but when I went and built my website on WordPress, I didn't even know how to pick a theme, right? And I think that's what a lot of people struggle with, is just getting started. Getting a website up is one of the biggest challenges because they don't even know where to start. What's a theme? How do I get hosting? How do I go in and change it? I know whatever theme I got for my website with the Healthy Success podcast, I was stuck to it. I was married to it. So you better make sure that you love that theme. And now with Corey, I'd love to get Corey's take, because Corey did WordPress coding. And we talk about, we're talking about these themes. So Corey, what's the problem with themes?
Yeah, you nailed it. I mean, I think for one, a lot of people don't know where to start. And for the people that already do WordPress, I mean, I'm sure they can agree that it took them some time to learn it, like hours. And it took me probably a good couple months before I really kind of understood the core of how WordPress works. So that right there was time consuming. And like you said, with the theme, once you pick a theme, you're kind of married to it. So it's very important that you pick the right theme right off the bat. And there's other themes out there, like some of the marketers that maybe heard of, like Optimize Press and other WordPress themes. But I think that ultimately WordPress, there's a lot of security vulnerabilities. There's a lot of issues with it that I personally don't feel comfortable running my business on, just because, for one, the maintenance on it is constant. You always have to update something. There's always apps or the theme, something needs to be updated. And it just becomes a pain in the ass, to be quite frank.
Yeah, and I mean, you worked at HostGator way back in the day. Let's talk about that, because I know when I got Bluehost connected to WordPress, man, I was like, I had to take a crash course just to get my website up, and then it was a nightmare trying to wait and rely on other people. So, I mean, aside from the themes, and you talked about the updates, talk to us about all the issues that all the variables that can come up that are new problems arising as you're just trying to get your website up.
Well, I mean, I think one, is just the ease of use, right? So, I mean, the thing with WordPress is it's not what you see is what you get. So there's almost two different platforms that you have to worry about. You have a content side, and then you have a design side on WordPress. And right there, that's two different elements that you got to figure out. So, I mean, a lot of developers like it just because it's easy to hand off to their clients once it's built. But if you're building it yourself, that's where it becomes a little convoluted and super difficult for some people, especially if you don't have a tech background.
And so with that, you know, you mentioned the updates. I know in my particular case, and this is what we were talking about having you help me with, is I have the podcast website. I don't need it anymore. But part of that is because I get these emails that say that there's a security breach, and I don't even know where it is. You know, I updated. I've got like 7 apps or, you know, plugins on my WordPress site, and I've updated them, and I don't know what it is that's causing these problems. Like, oh, you've got malware. Well, where?
Speaking
Like,
of updates as well, if you update it, one thing you got to be careful as well, it could totally screw up your team. So if they're not compatible or not, like if one company's not updated and the other is, then you can mess things up. So you got to be careful when you update, do backups. It's just, I mean, that's where I like ClickFunnels. And I dove into it and I was able to figure it out really quickly. I mean, it does help that I have a little experience, but I honestly don't think even if I didn't have like a background in that, I'd be able to figure it out a lot quicker because it's drag and drop, which kind of solves the issue. I mean, one thing that we were kind of talking about yesterday is how the evolution of how marketing has changed, right? So like, I think if you want to touch on that, like how you kind of see it progressed, I think
yeah. So
it was really cool.
when we talk about, you know, if we're talking about how everything's evolving, you know, from a user-friendly standpoint in regards to WordPress, if you don't know the coding, now you have to hire somebody. So there's an extra expense that comes on, right? And then what they did to try and fix that was now we saw this evolution of, okay, so let's make this easier for people to use. Let's move to drag and drop website builders. And this is where I know Dallin can talk about his experience, because his dad has a small business, brick and mortar business, and he didn't want to deal with developers and having to worry about someone else. So he went and started using a drag and drop website builder. But what are the big issues that your dad's facing, Dallin?
It basically what Corey was saying, like you get to a point where you have that theme that's already selected, and in a drag and drop setting, you know, companies like Wix or Squarespace, some of these that you see, you know, in all your Super Bowl ads, they basically have hundreds of templates that you can grab, and that's basically your theme, and you're kind of married to it, right? Because you put a lot of time building it and putting all the elements in, and it kind of becomes, you know, that hub. Well, the problem is as you grow as a business, you start to hit walls with those types of sites. You start to think, man, there's only so much I can do with SEO. There's only so much I can do for call to actions. It becomes so big and so broad that you can't really narrow down your audience on your page, right? So yeah, that's kind of where we've seen the biggest issue with a lot of drag and drops. And I've experienced myself with some of these drag and drop websites, because and it's easy to fall into them because they're so simple, right? And a lot of people want that simplicity. The problem is you start to invest all this time and effort building it up, and then you hit this hiccup, right? Where it's almost like you can't do much more marketing with it because it's limited with the things that it can do, with the integrations that it can have. So for example, going back in this compare and contrast, one of the things that we love about ClickFunnels is you can literally customize and change all sorts of different things. What we do is we actually, some of the platforms that we build on ClickFunnels, so the websites that we build out on ClickFunnels, we actually can save those. And if we have another project, we can actually take that same template if we really liked it or if it had really good conversions, and we can actually copy it, clone it, and mimic it for another site, and then tweak it based on the theme or the audience that we want to talk to. So it's really kind of nice. So it still integrates that easy, simple feature of the drag and drop world for the simplified person, the kind of the newbie business owner, but also has the very extreme elements that bring in kind of this world of marketing and strategies. And, you know, how do I keep my target or excuse me, my audience focused on this one thing at a time instead of giving them my whole catalog of business or my whole storefront, right? A lot of times it's too overwhelming, and we're starting to see statistics. I think I read an article the other day that there's, especially with this younger generation that's coming up, we're seeing way more people on their mobile devices. Well, what does that tell you? You know, if they're on their mobile devices, do they have a lot of time to pinch and zoom into the website that you built on some of these platforms, right? Not a lot of time, you
Well,
know?
yeah, and so let's talk about, because with WordPress, the fix was going over and creating a platform that was real easy where you could just drag and drop and create your website.
Right.
But what happened was then they start creating more problems. So WordPress was never really geared towards marketing. It was always focused on content, right? How to be able to write a blog post, go in and publish it. And from a marketer's standpoint, and where we come from, the content is a second, not necessarily not a secondary thing, but it's a complement to the actual marketing activities. So when we try and figure out what is it that we're going to sell, right? We sit down and we say, okay, what's the goal? We want to get people to opt in. We want to take them through a process. We want them to buy something. And then we come up with the content that's going to drive that and create that. And with WordPress, it was flipped around. Okay. With these drag and drop builders, it's flipped around. It's all about the content. So there's no marketing benefits to the user, to the business owner that's trying to create their website. And so now they go from WordPress, let's eliminate all the coding and let's create these drag and drop builders where now we can just drag and drop. But it's even worse for marketing. Like you said, there's no integrations. There's nothing to really capture leads. I mean, I think they're trying to do it, but outside of authority and content, what else do you have, right? I mean, give me your take on this, Corey.
Dude, you absolutely nailed it, man. I think, I mean, with the drag and drops, for one, it's not built for marketing. So, I mean, you can't do A/B testing, which that's what I love about ClickFunnels, is it makes it super easy. Because you're not really a marketer if you don't do split testing, right? That's the whole thing about marketing is constant.
Well, and why don't you give a definition, a real quick explanation on what A/B split testing is? Because I'm sure that, there's probably some people watching right now or somebody on the replay is going to say, well, what is that and why do I need it?
Absolutely. So, I mean, it could be just as simple as your headline on the page that they land on. So the first page will have the headline A. The second split test, which would be B, would have a headline B. So it's just simple as that. So, I mean, and you can
Why is that important if I own a salon and I want the name of my company up there?
Well, I mean, ultimately what that's going to do is it's going to allow you to see what's engaging with your customers. You're going to be able to use that data and better your business based off the data that you're looking at. So you're not making a decision in business based off feelings. It's a mathematical approach. And I think that's where you, as a business owner, you have to get in that mindset of looking at the numbers and the stats. And like you said, I think with the drag and drop builders as well, it's kind of like, I mean, if you wanted to, you get like a Ford Pinto, right? And you pimp it out, you get it all set up and cool. It can only go so fast, right? Versus like if you start off with like a Lamborghini motor, you're good to go. So I think, I mean, it's one of those things that it's really being wise with what you use online for your success.
So just like with WordPress, okay, we wanted to eliminate coding, eliminate all the heavy tech lifting, all that kind of stuff. We got drag and drop builders. Now as marketers are going online, we've figured out that, okay, these don't really work for us either, because now it's hard for us to get somebody it's hard enough to get somebody to go to your website, but now we get them on our website and then it's almost impossible to get them back, right? So we start to see how here's problem, here's solution. Now it's just creating new problems. And so let's try and bandage it and fix it with another one. And that leads me into the next one, which is all of these landing page builders that have come out. I think in the last 3 years alone, I've probably, last 4 or 5 years, I've probably seen at least 6 or 7 of them. Like there's a ton. I mean, they're going head to head. I've personally used Lead Pages, Optimized Press, and looked at Thrive Themes. But they're really kind of just, like I said, a Band-Aid, right? I mean, it's an incomplete solution that you're just trying to, plug gaps and holes. So tell me why, share with our audience, what are we missing here? How come these landing pages aren't the end all be all? Who wants to go?
I mean, I think there's quite a few reasons. It's a very loaded question because typically people, when they start thinking of this process, the sequence, like I need to try to sift this. I need to try to sift people as they come in, as the traffic comes into my site. So they start hearing these words, right? Landing page. I need a landing page. What's a landing page? Landing page is basically almost like a cover page of your website. So if someone clicks a specific domain, instead of them going straight to your website, it's going to land on a page that might have some copy on it to get you to take a quick action. Landing pages are awesome, but the problem is people stop there. They stop with that, and maybe they'll grab an email, but a lot of times if the copy's not on point, you know what I mean? Or if it's just a quick email opt-in, there's not a lot of compelling reason for someone to opt in. You're losing all that traffic, right? And so what ClickFunnels does is they do a really good job at having all sorts of different types of lead capture funnels or landing pages. So instead of having something, super simple that goes straight to, like, say I'm having an event and I'm going to be doing coaching at this event, or let's say I'm a sales rep and I want to sell a specific product, but I want to do it on a webinar, right? We all know that there's ways that we can shoot that out to a specific audience and then get them to capture that lead or them opt in for that email, and then we rely on like emails on the back end where we have to reach out to them and things like that. So it gets to the point where it's almost like it's not enough. So what ClickFunnels is really good at is they make it so there's sequences that are built out. They make it so it's more like, okay, if you get them to this landing page, the next page we want to take them to is this, because this is why. Like, they do a good job explaining for the non-marketer or the entry-level business owner, right? Basically touching on all types of businesses, how they can evolve, their traffic into what they want them to see. They do a really good job at it.
So we're digging into probably what most people are aware of or have some familiarity with right now, especially if they're trying to market online. Most people are aware of, landing page builder software. They've got a website. So if you've got a question, I want to encourage you guys to please put your questions down below, whether you're watching this live or replay, because we come back through and we make sure that we answer all the questions. We want to help you guys, like I said, cut that learning curve and not waste a bunch of time and money like we have. I mean, it's been a long journey, a lot of headaches, a lot of head banging our heads against the wall. And so, for those people who are on here, my dad's on here. What's up, Papa Kata? Megan, it's good to have you back here. I appreciate it. If you guys are here for the first time, please do us a favor. If you like this content, share it out so that we can get more people aware of the Lead Mode Show, help more people start creating more results and turn their marketing into a beast, because it's an online jungle out there. So with that, let me just jump right in here. We'll wait and see if anyone has any questions, but here's what I want to share with you guys. Okay. So I started using lead pages. I want to share this story. And the problem is that I had a WordPress site. I knew I needed a landing page. I had a good understanding that I needed to build an email list. At the time, I didn't necessarily know what I was going to do with the list or why I needed it, but I knew that was the process. So I needed to capture emails, and I got lead pages. But then all of a sudden, I'm building all these landing pages, and it was just like massive landing page overload with no secondary response. There was nothing after that. It was just like I was trying to hoard email lists. And so when I finally started to understand that, how the marketing process works, that you've got to create, you have to have an offering, and you have to be able to offer somebody something that makes sense based on where they are on your website. I I didn't have the tools for that. So now I'm like, okay, I need another set of tools. I need something else, right? It's like you've got a hammer and no nails. You've got a saw and no wood. So you've got all these things, but you're missing a vital element. And what ends up happening, at least in my experience, is that there's these hidden indirect costs. And these hidden indirect costs are not, like I said, they're indirect. They're not directly related to the landing page software. They're having to hire somebody to help you build something custom. They're having to buy another tool and try and, you know, you've ever seen an power cord? I think Corey and Dallin, we're probably guilty of this, you know, every week. Those power cords that have like 50 different cords coming out. That's what your back end starts to look like. And we all know that that's how you burn something out, right? It's how you blow, you blow the circuit. And so what personal experience do you, either one of you guys decide, what personal experience do you have with these hidden indirect costs, or even taking it a step further, what I call lost opportunity costs?
I think Corey can answer that the best with some of his e-commerce experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I know like I said earlier about WordPress, it's very time consuming. So if I could take things back, I would look for something that's an all-in-one solution. Because as you were just saying, Christian, there's stuff that starts to get everywhere. If you have your landing page software, then you have your email software, then you have just stuff everywhere. So you have all these different payments, all these moving parts. For one, it's when you're setting up all these different things, it's time consuming for each one. So it's going to take more time to set up, which obviously there's that old saying that everybody knows time is money, right? And I think at the end of the day, it's not just the time, but it's also your stress. I think one thing with having all these moving parts as well is you start to lose congruency. So you start to lose your marketing message within it. That's one thing I think ClickFunnels does a really good job with, is helping you stay congruent and keeps the flow of where you want your user or your customer to go. It keeps the flow very well. And it's from an e-com standpoint. I personally like Shopify just because you can, from the get-go, set it up, start rocking some sales, and you're good to go. And that's where I kind of compare Shopify. And I mean, it's one of those things that I've actually it's funny that a lot of people think about sending traffic to their e-commerce store or their website. Most of my traffic these days is going to funnels. People freak out when I say I'm not sending them to my store anymore.
and that's something that we've been testing and seeing good results. So that even goes back to something we said earlier, this A/B split testing. But I know our conversations have been, what is the front end, you sending everybody straight to Shopify worked, but how can you make it work better? And the whole premise of this entire show today is how to make things work better, because it's constantly changing. We know we have one guarantee in our business online, is that it's never going to be the same tomorrow as it was yesterday. Like, it's constantly changing. And so this whole thing with testing, we talk about, with landing pages, hidden indirect costs, we start to feel like our businesses are duct taped together with popsicle sticks, right? Because we've got all these different things. So when we can cut some of those costs out, we're not only saving money, but in reality, we have the ability to make more money, because you said it, time is money. We have to teach ourselves how to use one thing that does all of these better, right? That honestly helps us be able to sit in one spot, focus, get things done all in one place, instead of trying to remember, okay, I got to go over here and I've got to put this together and I got to make sure that these things are all connected, right? It makes life easier. So I want to touch on one more thing before we go to the last tool that is probably the second most popular thing that everyone will know about, CRMs. But I want to talk about this idea of time decay and lost opportunity costs, because for me personally, I didn't know a single thing about funnels. I stumbled onto an email that got me onto a webinar where I heard, Russell Brunson talking about ClickFunnels, and I'm like, these are interesting. I need one of those, right? And it wasn't that I needed everything, because to be honest with you, for probably the first 3 months, I still used ClickFunnels just like it was lead pages. All I did was build landing pages because I didn't really know what I was going to sell. But because I knew that I needed to learn more about funnels, because I knew that it was there and I had the ability to start messing with it, because I knew that I could dive in and I could start testing and it wasn't going to, I was already paying for it. Because of all these things, it forced me to start to do things sooner. It forced me to say, look, it's here. I got to start using it. And it forced me to get out there and say, you know what, I just put this together. Let me see how it works, right? What do you guys say?
It's just one of the nice things about ClickFunnels, like with what you're talking about and saving time, is it allows you to try multiple things at the same time and test them. So for example, let's say, like, let's go off of your typical, you mentioned earlier, Christian, an example of like a salon, right? Well, a salon has lots of different services and products, right? So you can test different things going straight to that specific product or service rather than taking them to the entire website. But the nice thing is you can try out almost like, instead of having one website, what I'm trying to say is you can have like 15 mini websites, and now you can start to test what kind of services are working best, or what your type of traffic that you're targeting is actually really wanting to see. And then once you have that, it becomes like a gateway. So you use that to bridge the people to get into buy the rest of your services. It allows you to start offering deals on top of other services. So for example, a real common thing that a lot of people do in ClickFunnels is they'll use one service to draw in. So say it's a service that you as a business owner, you can take a little bit more of a hit on, or your margins are that where you can drop them down. So it's okay if you're not making a lot of money on it, because once they get into the door, because no one's better at what you do than you, right? And so you're the salesman, you're the business owner, you have this profession. And so once you get them into the door, you can rely on all your other skills to get them to buy some of these other products, right? I come from a world where upsells is key, right? I had to get someone caught on an idea to get their mind off of that I was trying to sell them something. And I had to build up this relationship. And I did that by offering something at very little cost. And once I got in the door, I was able to build what I call the value funnel. So it's a similar concept of what we're trying to do online. I create lots and lots of value. And this was me doing it interpersonally with people. I'm creating lots and lots of value in my product and my service, to the point where I could start adding on and tagging on upsells and other items, because they were so sold on the idea of that one service or product that I was selling, that these additions became almost like, well, why wouldn't I add them on? And you're here and I have you here. So that's what we want to do online. We want to get someone in, create this value, whether it's through content or through a specific product. And then once we have them in, we start upselling them. We start seeing where else are they going to be interested. And once we grab that data, now we can retarget them.
And you're talking, and Down, you've said it, Corey said it, I've said it, you've said it on previous shows. It's the word test. So everything that we're talking about here today, none of these allow you to really test on a macro level, or on a micro level. Like, regardless, there's no testing. So if I go out and I buy a theme, I'm married to it, right? And if I go pay a web developer, sorry if you're a web developer, I'm stuck with it, right? So that's a cost. It's $3,500. If it doesn't work, sorry, it doesn't work. Same thing goes with, drag and drops. You got to pick your theme. And once you build it out, you're like, oh man, it's not working. You got to go start over. That's a lot of time. And then we come down to, landing page builders. We can test on those. Like, that's one of the best things that ever happened when those came out, was the ability to throw something up. And if it didn't work, cool, come back and do it. But again, it's incomplete. And there's all these other things that you have to tie into the back end. So that word test, when we say it, we don't say it lightly. Everything is a test. We're testing stuff right now behind the scenes that you guys don't even know. So figure out how you can start testing and seeing what works and what doesn't. Now let's go into the last primary tool that you don't necessarily, you need it, but you don't use it as much until you get more advanced into your business. And that's the landing pages, or I'm sorry, the CRMs, the different contact relationship management tools. And so most of us are familiar with Infusionsoft and Ontraport and Active Campaign, Aweber. There's a lot of good ones out there. I want to talk about Infusionsoft because I have a personal story with it. You know, when I first got started, we live in Phoenix. And so living here in Phoenix, we get to drive by Infusionsoft every single day. And I have friends that own businesses that were like, yeah, there's this great company. It's for small businesses. And so when I went there and I talked to them, it made perfect sense. It's a way to automate. It's a way to, you know, communicate with your audience once you get them on an email list. But the problem is, and if you guys look at the slide right here, let me make sure I'm pointing to it right there. What Infusionsoft is built for is what you see right there on the top. It's this big, robust campaign, right? And it does a lot. But the problem is that most of us, especially when we're just getting started, or, you know, we've been trying to build momentum and scale our business, we need the bottom one. We need the small one. And there's a lot of great tools out there that can do that for you at a much reduced price. So one of the big problems is that Infusionsoft tends to be cost prohibitive. Would you guys agree? I mean, we've all heard the stories, and I think Infusionsoft is a great company. I'm going to say this with a caveat. It's a great company. It's a great tool, but for the majority of marketers, it's just not the right tool. So share with me some of your guys' thoughts on the big cons to Infusionsoft and Ontraport, which falls in there too. There's definitely pros, but most people feel the cons.
Well, cost becomes, like what you said, a big con, because until and unless your business is at that level, you know, hundreds and hundreds of followers, I'd even say thousands, it kind of doesn't make sense to get to pay for that. Now, Infusionsoft, I think, is one of the coolest things that exists. It's awesome. But like you said, Christian, the problem is like 9 out of 10 businesses, they don't need it because they haven't even thought that far into the future with some of these sequences or even the list that they have, right? So you almost need something that is going to help you build that up. And as you're building, you're creating this sequence. You're creating this way that, okay, if they come on my site, then I want to reach out to them here. And for those that are watching that don't know what Infusionsoft is, they basically do similar to funnels, but they do a way where they can
they're email funnels.
Email funnels. Like if you get someone to opt in for your email, then the second they opt in, they're going to get this. And then they start running rules or algorithms that say, like, if they do open that email, then this is going to happen. If they don't open that email in 48 hours, you're going to get this email. So they build out this huge spider web, this huge sequence, and it's awesome. But the problem is a lot of people don't have that type of business yet.
There's not a need. There's just not a need for it. I mean, I had 300 people on my email list, and I think the cost was $300 a month.
Yeah,
that's steep. So look, if you're watching this and you feel like you've blown some money online, trust me, I got you. I got you right there, right in the digital eyeballs. But even further than that, and Corey, you and I talked about this yesterday, is the setup fee. So one of the big issues in that picture, if you saw that campaign, I mean, it's like little squares and lines, and it's like a treasure map, something that belongs on, you know, one of the what's the movie with Tom Hanks where he's you know, trying to solve the, you know, save the world. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's right.
And so with that, you know, the tech overwhelm comes up. And so one of the things is that there's this tech setup fee. Well, for the cost of the setup fee, I mean, you could pay for pretty much an entire year of ClickFunnels. You could pay for, you know, your whole, you know, landing page builder and, you know, WordPress theme and hosting. I mean, it's a huge, robust cost. And then what happens is that most of the times you just don't use all the features. So like we both said, Dallin, it's a fantastic software. It's great, but it really requires even more, a larger team than what we've got.
Yeah, you almost have to just rely on someone else to do it for you. Almost like, you know, going back to WordPress or even some of these other sites, like people get them and you know, the wording on, like if you're setting up your WordPress for the first time, or if you just bought a website through GoDaddy and then they take you to the next thing and they say, hey, we can actually help you build a website. In fact, we can give you templates for you to do it yourself. And then you jump on that, you bite it, but then you get stuck. Well, they do that on purpose so they can offer you their services. ClickFunnels, it's a little different. It's open source. It's more like, you know, there's a community of help rather than, you know, needing to hire a ton. And so that's, yeah, Corey and I were talking about that a lot. ClickFunnels has this awesome support 24/7. You get stuck on something, you got a question about, you know, something that you need to integrate with ClickFunnels, and it's there, it's done. It's almost like you have your staff working for you, right? And so we're talking about this and this whole ClickFunnel concept. If you're a do-it-yourselfer kind of a business owner, right? Obviously, there's the people who want to get a lot more strategic with their marketing, and they'll reach out to people like us at the Lead Solution to build this stuff out for them. We can get very, very intricate with a lot of this funnel building, or we can keep it very simple. But we just wanted to talk about the tools and why. So, I mean, really, I'd like to almost wrap it up with this.
Well, hold on 1 second before we go there, because the biggest takeaway that I want to make sure anyone watching this gets is this concept of how the digital dollar is evolving. It's not just websites anymore. It's not just, you know, landing pages and building email lists. It's really having the entire cycle in place, because what we've covered on today's show is that concept again of like popsicle sticks and duct tape. We want our business to look phenomenal up front, right? But then behind the scenes, we have to have that. We want that same level of integrity, not just because it's a better way to run a business, because it makes our lives easier. And so I just want to touch on that before we start talking about, you know, summarizing everything.
Well, no, I was just going to say, even with Infusionsoft, I mean, at the end of the day, with all of this stuff and ClickFunnels and these tools, if you sell a product, if you offer a service, right? If you're a sales rep, if you're a distributor, if you're part of a network marketing company, if you're part of a real estate brokerage or independent in any means, ClickFunnels is really great because it can set you apart from the rest of the pack. You can get very unique instead of looking like just another real estate agent or just another boutique or you know what I mean? And you can get really, really creative with the ways you can put these puzzle pieces together in these micro websites, as I like to call them. And so,
that's a great point, Dallin, that you make, is that it really is super simple for the everyday average person to be able to have a presence online and not be worrying about knowing all the 12 million different tech pieces that go on, that you require an entire village to be able to run and operate. And so I'm glad you brought that up.
Effective.
Yeah. So let's go in summarizing this. Really, the point that we want to make is that it doesn't require buying more and adding more tools on, because there are tools available out there that simplify these things for you, that give you a competitive advantage on your competition, that give you a leg up, that save you time and allow you to get things out faster so that you can test and make a decision quicker. Mm-hmm. And so we talk about funnels each and every week here on our show. We put out content around funnels and how they can be used in e-commerce, in real estate, in fitness, in network marketing, all of these different things, with the sole idea of generating leads and sales and giving you the lead solution that you're looking for. And so with that, what we want to do is we want to be able to show you guys and give you the opportunity to be able to take what we're sharing, what we're teaching each and every week on our site, on social media, and here, and be able to start to implement that. And we've had a lot of people that say, well, how do you guys do it? Well, I'm not techie. I don't understand, online marketing. And that's okay, because it really comes down to one thing. And that one thing is the platform that we've built our business on. And that platform that we've built our business on is ClickFunnels. And so that's why we wanted to bring you guys this show today, is to share our experience of what we've gone through over the last, 5-6 years, combined, over 10 years of us trying different things from different angles in e-commerce, in info products, in fitness, and all these different niches, to be able to let you guys know that this is the tool that we've used, and this is the tool that we'll continue to use. And because of that, what we've done is Dallin's going to go ahead and put a link in the comments below. So whether you're watching this live right now or whether you're watching this on a replay, look in the comments below and click that, because we put together some bonus content for you guys, and what we're calling the Funnel Vault. And so the Funnel Vault is really the key to helping you guys unlock the profits that are hiding inside your business. Whatever idea you have, being able to help you guys save money by not wasting money on tools that are unnecessary, that you don't need in your business, and not having to duct tape a million different things together. And so part of that is the opportunity for you guys to take a look and learn more about ClickFunnels, get an inside, behind the scenes sneak peek of what ClickFunnels is, what it looks like, how easy it is, and you can actually see me in a video helping you guys walk through and building your first landing page, showing you how simple you can throw it up, how customized you can make it, so that you can start marketing your business better online. And so all you guys have to do is click the link below. It's leads, leadz.pro/funnel vault. Woo! What do you guys, anyone got anything to add?
I was just going to add on top, this funnel vault that we've put together, it's pretty awesome, because a lot of people, when they join ClickFunnels, and we know this because we're part of the ClickFunnels Facebook group. It's a huge community of 30,000 people in here where you can share ideas and ask for help and support. And we try to participate a lot inside of that group. But we start to see a lot of the same questions. And what we've tried to do is put all of those questions and the solutions in this funnel vault. And basically we share some funnels in there that you guys can use. We use other products within ClickFunnels that we like to add on to our service, that maximizes our efforts. And so there's going to be a lot of things in this that you guys can use and keep as references that you can keep adding on and tagging on once you get your ClickFunnels account. The nice thing is, and we'll shoot up this link as well, when you get ClickFunnels, we'll send you a link that you can get 14 days for free if you want to just try it out. You can get access to everything. And then you can jump in our leads vault here that we've put together, our funnel vault, and you can test some of this stuff. So it's kind of our little gift to everyone that follows us and a lot of people that we've been helping and teaching. And it's kind of really a no-brainer, if you ask me. But it's great stuff.
Corey, anything?
Boom, you guys nailed it. I totally agree with what you guys said. It's awesome stuff. Go check it out.
Hammered it, nailed it. All right, guys. We don't want to take up any more of your time. We appreciate you guys joining us each and every week. My partners, Dallin Greenberg and Corey Smith, right there for you. Thank you guys so much. It's your boy Christian Cotta with the Lead Mode Show. We'll see you next week. Peace.
We'll see you.